Do you, when you meet a new man that you really like, do you start fantasizing on how things could be between you and him? For example, how wonderful your relationship would be together, or how his last name fits your first name, or where you guys would live together and what that would look like. Do you know that this might actually be the problem in your dating life at this moment? Because you might be fantasy dating instead of reality dating. If you are anything like me, like I've been in the past myself, I was very romantic. Maybe I watched too much of Disney, I don't know, but what I did was romanticize every single man that I really liked. I saw them not for who they really were, but for who they could be. And this made me invest in men that were simply not worth my time. This really caused me quite some heartbreaks as well, and I don't want that to be you. So that's why I'm recording this video for you, so you stop fantasize dating and you start reality dating. I'm going to break down the difference between fantasy dating and reality dating. And reality dating is really what you want to be doing, because this is going to help you to get to where you want to be, and that's to be in a loving, sparkling and healthy relationship. But before I'm going to tell you about reality dating, what it is, I also want to take you through what fantasy dating is and how this is stopping you from attracting that loving, healthy and sparkling relationship. Let's start with fantasy dating and how this is stopping you in your love life at this moment. So when you meet a man that you feel attracted to, but also ticks off quite some things on the list that you want in a man, what is going to happen if you are fantasy dating is that your mind, your brain takes you to what could be, not really looking at the man who he really is, like in front of you, how he's showing up. No, it is taking you into a fantasy of how the man could be. So how he could be showing up, how he could take you on dates, how things could be between you guys if you would be in a relationship. So it is more about the fantasy than it really is about the man that you are dating, like the reality that's really showing at this moment. And this comes with 3 problems. Number 1 is that you don't really see how the man is showing up. So what you're so focused on is the end result, where you want to go, but you don't really check in the here and now if everything is according to what you have in your head, in your fantasy. So you sort of miss all kinds of flags, very often red flags. Or what I see happening very often as well is that the man is simply not showing up. So you're so up in your fantasy of what could be that you don't even check reality of what really is. Number 2 is that your fantasy might actually push away a man that could potentially be a good partner for you. So if you start dating a man, then in the beginning you're not really sure. You like him, but yeah, let's see how things develop. But then if your fantasy kicks in, because the first date was nice, the second date was nice, and then the fantasy kicks in, oh, this could be the one for me. And you start building up the fantasy. Oh, what would it be like if we go travel together? What would our kids look like? What would it look like if we live together? So you really start building up this in your head. And what is actually happening is that you romanticize this. So you really start seeing not the man that is in front of you, but really what things could be, as I said before. And with that, you already made a decision. This is the man for me. And with that, what you're starting to do is communicate and act in a different way. So this probably sounds very familiar, that men in the beginning are very forward in chasing you. And then after a while, you get to a point where you start to be really sure, and then all of a sudden he is not. And this is the exact problem that I see happening a lot, is that once women are sure, they start behaving in a different way. And this actually stops the man from chasing you. This actually makes him not so sure if he wants to be with you in a relationship. So therefore, it is very important to not let this fantasy take you over, because this puts pressure on him and actually makes him step away from the relationship that you want instead of him chasing you more. Number 3, if things don't work out, the reality really comes crashing down and you are left over with a heartbreak, and a big one. Because if you start fantasizing a lot of how things could be instead of how they are, the brain that we have doesn't know the difference between reality and fantasy. What it is doing And this is just one of the hormones, but it is producing oxytocin. So the brain doesn't know any difference between fantasy and reality, but it does produce hormones. And one of them is oxytocin. And oxytocin is a bonding hormone. So what is going to happen is that these hormones are being produced, even though it is not reality. So you start to emotionally bond more with the man that you're dating. And with that, if it comes crushing down, this fantasy, it hurts even more, because this bonding hormone makes sure that you're more attached to him. And with that, it hurts even more. So what do you do instead? You start reality dating. So sure, you can get excited. Of course, if you meet a man that could potentially be a Mr. Right, get excited. Nothing wrong with that. But make sure you temper this excitement a little bit, and you don't go towards the fantasy too much. Don't start thinking already how things could be, how it could be showing up, how your relationship could be looking like. No, really look at also, sure, excitement, yes, but also really look how the man is showing up. With that, you really can spot red flags. You'll be so much more in the moment. It will be more of a natural process of him chasing you, and you also taking your time to get to know him. And if you are not like 100% sure you like him, but you're not 100% sure if you want to be with him in a relationship, this is going to make him want to chase you even more. Because if you're not convinced of him yet, then he needs to convince you. So this is really going to help you. So instead that he feels pressured, he's going to want to chase you more. And if things don't work out, you save yourself a heartbreak, or at least it's not going to take you as much time to recover or let this person go as if it would if you start fantasizing in your head. So I hope with this video that I've made you realize what kind of dater you are. Are you a fantasy dater or a reality dater? And I hope that I've convinced you to become more of a reality dater. And can you be very honest with me and put in the comments what kind of dater you are, if you are a fantasy dater or a reality dater, because I'm very curious. And with that, I've come to the end of the video. And before I'm going to wrap up, I want to give you something more, and that is my free ebook, The 5 Types of Men to Avoid During Dating. Because unfortunately, still I see this happening a lot. A lot of women invest their heart and their precious time into men that cannot give them the healthy, loving and sparkling relationship that they're looking for. And some men, yes, are very clearly Mr. Wrong. But some men are like in a gray area. You don't really know that actually this is a Mr. Wrong. And I see this happening a lot, that women, amazing women, smart women, invest their heart in the wrong types of men. And I don't want that to be you. So that's why I make my ebook, my free ebook, available to you as well. And where can you find it? I'm going to make sure that it's going to be as a link in the description below, so you can download the 5 Types of Men to Avoid During Dating for free. And with that, I'm really going to wrap up the video. I really hope this was helpful for you, and I hope to see you at the next video.